The Treaty of Chushul, written by Sri Khalsaji Apsarani Sri Maharaj, Lhasa Representative Kalon Surkhan, Investigator Tapun Peshi, Commander of Forces Balana, and the representative of Ghulam Kanhadin, and the interpreter Amir Ha read as, quote, "We have agreed that we have no ill feelings because of the past war. The two kings will henceforth remain friends forever. The relationship between Maharaja Gulab Singh of J&K and the Lama Guru of Lhasa, Dalai Lama, is now established. The Maharaja Sahib, with God, Kunchuk, as his witness, promises to recognize ancient boundaries which should be looked after by each side without resorting to warfare. When the descendants of the early kings who fled from Ladakh to Tibet now return, they will not be stopped by Sri Maharaja. Trade between Ladakh and Tibet will continue as usual. Tibetan government traders coming into Ladakh will receive free transport and accommodations as before, and the Ladakhi envoy will, in turn, receive the same facilities in Lhasa. The Ladakhis take an oath before God that they will not intrigue or create new troubles in Tibetan territory. We have agreed, with God as witness, that Sri Maharaja Sahib and the Lama Guru of Lhasa will live together as members of the same household. We have written the above on the 2nd of Asura Sambat 1899, which is in Common Era, 17th December 1842. Hi guys, welcome to another episode on JAMMU DOGRA identity. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the differences in historical sources. So this war has actually been documented by historians in different languages. And I wanted to explore how they discuss the war from different perspectives. In historiography, it is not recommended to write analyses of events immediately after the event because the emotions are running high. So usually people recommend like a 200-year distance, but with, modernity and the invention of lip gloss. I think we're writing histories within 30 years of distance. Anyways, so this war happened, as I said, in the 1840s, which has been almost 200 years now. And I think we can have a pretty objective analysis of it. So let's start. I wanted to start off by showing some photos of Alchi Ladakh. This is from the book Alchi, Treasure of the Himalayas. It is known for the caves, but first I just wanted to talk about like the broader environment. It's really dry, as you can see. And the environment in which Zorawar Singh was decapitated is basically like that. Very dry, very cold in the winters, as you can see. It is marked. There are some statues of former Dogra soldiers. Here we have one of the Chinese historians visiting the site, and I'll go into what he says about it. These are the soldiers who are remembered as statues. It looks like the Ladakh, right? If there weren't wars, it's very difficult to actually tell the difference between this and Alchi. So one of the most notable differences is the name people call Dogras. As they refer to themselves, and in English, they are Dogra at this point because of the Dogra dynasty. But for some reason, the Tibetans/Chinese call them Shenpa. So in Chinese sources, it's translated as Senpa. I'm not quite sure where this is from, but maybe y'all can tell me. That's number one in terms of the most basic thing. It's like they are referred to differently in English and non-English sources. Number two, how did General Zorawar Singh die? So the Chinese sources say that he was decapitated by the Tibetans and paraded in Lhasa to show the victory of the Tibetans. And in this English source by Rajender Arora, he wrote a book called Kailash. It was published in 2021. He talks about Zorawar Singh's men cremated him and built him a commemorating site. The third difference is what happened to the descendants of those Dogra soldiers in the sources. In English, it is not mentioned at all, because I think that British at that point was more concerned about transferring the living who wanted to return to Jammu. And so like the people who stayed probably just escaped. तो भागने के बाद क्या हुआ? According to Chinese sources, they intermarried with people who lived in the Toyo district, and their descendants show mixed features. I don't know. I've never seen one of them. The fourth difference is the analyses of the strategy adopted by General Zorawar Singh. Was he a puppet of the British imperial interests, or was it something else? So I'm tending towards the latter, like he's definitely not just a puppet. But yeah, in most Chinese articles written by, people who work for the Chinese government, they're just like, yeah, like the British wanted to invade Tibet since the very beginning of entering India. Obviously not true, but that's how they want to perceive the situation. They're like, yeah, they tried from Bhutan, Sikkim, Nepal, and then the Dogras also were working for them. That's one perspective of what happened. And the other perspective, which is like, it's super complicated, is adopted by me and some other historians. One evidence for that is that Zorawar Singh invaded Gilgit-Baltistan, and that area is not like the gateway to China, basically. And the British, I don't think they told him to do that, even though he was probably sponsored by them in terms of the weapons and stuff. And then the Gilgit-Baltis plus Ladakhis at this point, after being invaded by Zorawar Singh, joined Zorawar Singh's armies. So he had a mix of people with him who were not limited to Dogras. It's just that the Dogras entered Western Tibet with him because they were like, I'm so loyal. And the final point in terms of complicating the picture of a grand British strategy was that as a devout Hindu, General Zorawar Singh wanted to visit the famous lake Manasarovar, as well as the mountain Kailash. So I definitely feel vibes from just seeing photos of mountain Kailash. And I definitely believe that mountain is sacred. But, if you're not into these things, you just think it's a bunch of bull. Like a lot of Chinese historians, they're just like, oh, he used that as a ploy to just like invade, and these things don't exist, period. Those were my 4 points in terms of differences in sources of this Dogra Tibetan conflict. And the second part of this presentation, I wanted to share some themes in Dogri songs that talk about how they love their Tanda Pani, cold water, to emphasize the environmental differences in where they were invading versus their homeland. So enjoy. Thanda pani pinde la pani lo, thanda pani pinde la pani lo, le moj mera le de la pani lo.